To the readers who look up
For
at the
all the
stars
underdogs
and
who don't let fear stop them
who
from
lead
fighting.
monotonous
Dedicated to
lives
those
in the
without a
hope that they may
diagnosis.
experience at secondhand
For Mom,
the
because you said I could write a book instead of getting a summer job. I love you.
For every girl who has ever felt
For every
powerless.
Nesta out there,
To
climb the
12-year-old,
mountain, and for Josh,
17-year-old,
Darren, and Annie,
21-year-old,
who are the reason I keep
and
climbing
30-year-old
my own.
me, you were never the disaster you thought
For those
you
I
were.
love,
For anyone
all
who
never
has
got to
ever
work out
fallen
to
from
see
the
this
sky
happen.
of their life, these words are for you.
Welcome to Her Best Interest, a podcast for readers and non-readers alike. My name is Cecylia Morrison, and I'm one of your hosts.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Arnold, and I'm also one of your hosts. We want to thank you for tuning in. We're so excited that you're here.
Every other Wednesday, we release a new episode. The first half of the episode discusses themes from the novel that resonated with us without referring to the book or giving any spoilers.
For the second half of the episode, we'll pull the book from the shelf and discuss the themes within the story while still keeping our experiences in the conversation. Through this, we hope to connect to you through the story and share a piece of our heart in the process.
Thanks again for tuning in, and without further ado, let's jump into this week's episode.
Okay, so today we're going to get started with something I read this week. This is our first segment when one of us shares something that we read that really resonated with us or that we found interesting, and then we both provide our thoughts. So, Cecylia, I'm going to let you go first and take it away.
Okay, so this is actually something that got shared a bunch on social media this week. Just a bunch of people I followed were putting this on their story. So that's where I pulled this from. That's where I read it, social media. And it is, if you understood how frequently people cope by projecting, you would learn to take absolutely nothing personally. And I just thought it was a good reflection and reminder that like other people's behavior says more about them than yourself. And like same goes for me, my behavior, or like if I'm disturbed by something, it's usually like something is disturbed within me that I need to address and resolve.
I get that, and I think it's a really poignant way to start the episode. So thank you for sharing that with us. I really like that. So now we're going to move into the themes we pulled from the novels today. So as a reminder, the first part of our episodes are spoiler-free. We only refer to the themes within our own lives. So for those watching, you're going to see our great outfits, but basically this is a big episode because we pulled from Harry Potter and Twilight because I have read Harry Potter and Cecylia has not, and Cecylia, who I can't wait to find out is Team Edward or Team Jacob, has read Twilight but never Harry Potter. So we're going to kick it off and let Cecylia take our first topic from Twilight. What theme resonated with you?
Okay, so yes, I've never read Harry Potter. And I did see the movies though. So I feel like I have a one-up when we get to part 2 of the episode.
Right. I have not seen the Twilight movies. I have seen pieces of film on TikTok.
And like memes.
Yeah,
and
memes.
you all
That's
week.
it.
I've
So
been sending you
I am going into this. I have never seen a Twilight movie. I just want to make that clear.
You're a better woman for it. In Twilight, it's a lot of like good versus evil, mortality, and like these things that I'm like, ew. But there is definitely a strong theme of codependency. Mm-hmm. This one resonated with me because I am codependent by nature. I think because of the emotional environment that I was raised in. Mm-hmm. I was, constantly taking temperature checks of everyone in the home and, what I, the child, needed to do to regulate all the emotions. I'm the oldest sibling. So it was like that balance of having emotionally reactive adults and what that looks like.
Were we in the same house?
I know. Later that shows up in relation, when you're a child, you don't know what's happening. You think it's normal. That's how you're growing up. And I, over the years, you notice it coming up in friendships and relationships and your family dynamics. And I saw that as very much like a people pleaser and a codependent type, kind of always telling people what they wanted to hear instead of speaking my truth and what I thought. I thought I was like protecting them from, like, I thought I was helping.
Like protecting their feelings, not hurting someone's feelings.
Yeah. By like wording it in a way that they needed to hear and what they wanted to hear to keep the peace and blah, 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 instead of like remaining true to what I actually thought or what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And I became very codependent on the emotional reactions of people around me. And that's kind of how I decided how I felt, was how you felt. How do you feel about me? And that's how I'll decide how I feel. And like, if you're good, I'm good as long as you're in a place where you feel good. And I need to make sure I know what to say to the person in front of me so that they feel good,
Right.
which is just unhealthy, because eventually, I'm breaking my own boundaries. I'm not being fully truthful, and that doesn't feel good. So it doesn't add to like the shame and the guilt and those things, or it does add to those things, which doesn't improve self-esteem.
Right.
So
when do you think that you first started to notice that was something that you did and that you wanted to stop doing that?
Within the last few years, my relationships and my recovery program and the women in that network, they were kind of like, you don't have to feel this way. People can take it. Like you can tell them what you think in a way that is obviously not rude, but like you're allowed to feel and live in your truth, and you're allowed to be honest with people. It's not your job to protect them from their own reaction or their own emotional journey. Like it's their job to be on that. And it's your job to protect your peace and honor yourself and your truth by speaking that and being honest. So I think I've become a very direct person, which didn't always used to be the case, and was very much someone that would like just tell you what you wanted to hear and then tell this person what they wanted to hear and then tell this person what they wanted to hear. And I thought I was helping, but really I was robbing people of making a fully educated decision on the information that I was saying, or like on how they felt about me, or something that some action that I took, I was robbing them of that dignity of making an educated decision.
It's amazing to hear you say that, because I feel like I'm just starting that journey of not wanting to be a people pleaser anymore and wanting to say how I feel without like, just like you said, worrying about or depending on somebody's reaction for how I feel, because there are times where I want to say something, but I'm like, ooh, what if I hurt that person's feelings? That's going to make me feel really bad. Like I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. So sometimes I just like gobble down what I want to say, which not only, like you said, is a disservice to the people that need to hear these things or should hear these things from you if you're having like an honest, authentic relationship, but also for myself. It's so bad.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. It's tiring. And then you kind of, like you said, you like build up this resentment, and then the person doesn't know that you have resentment because they only think that you are like happy and fine. So I've kind of gotten to this hump where I'm, like you said, I'm so tired of people pleasing and worrying about what people think. Which is so funny, because if someone says something to me, I'm like, this is a direct attack on my character. This is towards me, and it's negative.
Yeah.
And so I think I have to do a lot of work to not only be more honest with everybody, including myself, but also maybe have like thicker skin in the process. I can't just start being, I'm going to be really direct with you, but don't be direct
with me,
because
my feelings will be hurt.
Right. So I'm trying to work on that. This year it's kind of like one of my New Year's resolutions. And I don't know why I keep feeling like I'm entering a new era in my 30s, but since I'm going to be 30 in March, I just feel like now's the time.
Your villain era.
Yeah, my villain era.
And I will tag it in the show notes, but there was a podcast that I listened to that really helped pull, like she's a solo podcast, and she talks a lot about codependency and in relationships and how it's, ultimately I was being manipulative because I'm just I know it's like, you're like trying to be so nice. Like I think that I'm protecting people and I'm trying to be so nice and I'm trying to just make sure that they don't feel anything negative because, how I was raised. I think that's my job.
Am I a liar?
And like, no, I'm right. Yeah, like that was the realization that I came to, not like me calling you I'm manipulative because you're trying to juggle all these things and all these emotions for people. And you're like, how do I do this the best way? And that is at its core manipulation versus.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm having a revelation.
Oh my God, on air. But it's I mean, I still do it, like it, and I have to catch myself.
But nobody's
sometimes.
perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, like you as my friend are a perfect angel, but
Yeah, you too. Yeah.
so, it is something that I have to actively work on and kind of just be prepared. And I think it's something probably everybody feels sometimes. I think that being a people pleaser sometimes feels like the easier option. I'm like, do I want to say something that's going to be difficult, or do I just want to?
Right. Do I want to have this conversation?
I'm like, do I want to do this right now? Like, do I have the mental energy? I think sometimes that's where it falls for me is I'm like, man, I've had a long day at work. I've got stuff to do at my house. I have a list of things I'm already thinking about for tomorrow and the day after that. So am I going to do that? So I think that finding the mental energy is also something that I have to navigate.
For sure.
Also on top of it. But I hope that I can at least kind of like take these points, like when you had noted them. I actually talked to Derek about them just because I've never really, I don't want to say I've never considered them because that's,
I had never,
I mean,
until
like,
it was pointed out to me, like one of the women she sat me down and she was like, it's manipulative. And I was like, don't say that to me. It was like me.
No, it kind of just, I was reading these notes and I thought, man, like what a lack of self-awareness that I've had to realize that the root of like me being frustrated with people stems from me being frustrated with myself.
Yeah, I'm the problem. Like I'm the center of it.
So I will say this to anybody that I am speaking to starting tomorrow.
Today I'm going to get it out.
Today is a free pass. Tomorrow, if I am more direct with you and it sounds like because again, I feel like as women, if we're more direct, sounding like we're going to be a bitch.
We can only be a bitch.
Right.
A man is
direct and assertive.
Admired.
Right.
A woman can only be a bitch.
Exactly. So if I talk to anybody and I am direct, I want you to know I will be thinking about it for the next 48 hours. I don't know. My goal will be to reduce the amount of time I think about it. That'll be moving forward, baby steps.
Baby steps.
But I think it's just such a good topic to bring up because I just didn't realize how invested I was.
Well, and I think it's so common. Like like you said, I don't think that we're alone in it, and or maybe we are, and everyone on the internet is like, "What?"
Oh my gosh!
But it takes a lot of work to recognize those patterns within myself and correct them. Like I said, I'm still doing it, and the other piece of it is that it takes a lot of confidence to know that I'll be okay regardless of their reaction. But I do owe them my full truth always. And I'll always be okay if they make a decision that's best for them. It's not my job to keep everyone content and happy. It is my job to be honest and regulate my own emotions so that I can remain resilient through the emotional reactions of others and the emotional reactions that they need to have. Because sometimes I do shit wrong.
So we're gonna jump into our next topic. This is one that I dove into and picked out from Harry Potter, which is trying to control outcomes. This is a big part of my teeny tiny anxiety that I take with me wherever I go.
I don't leave home without it.
It is with me. And I am trying to have less of it every day. One of the things that Derek and I have talked about is I'm like, I have one life to live and I don't want to spend it worrying. So trying to control outcomes is something that I think that I kind of get like on edge about. So I'm working on that. And I think that one of the biggest things that has helped me let go of having this control over a situation has been co-parenting. Because as you know, I have my two stepdaughters, Kellen and Emery. And so when they're not with us, I initially had this panic, I think. And it's nothing about their mother or anything like that. They are always safe. They're always loved. They're always cared for. The cheerleading team that these kids have is insane.
That's great.
Their mother's family is so involved. Derek's family is so involved. My family involved and loved. Like we are a unit when we arrive for school events and sporting events. So I think that when Derek and I, probably within like the first year of our marriage or so, I was getting used to like having my cute little girl roommates, but then they would leave, half the time. And you're like, what are they doing? What are they up to? And it kind of caused me to spiral a little bit and learning that I can't control what happens when they leave our house has been really helpful for me as like a person to kind of get through having control over every situation that I'm in. And it's been a journey to do that because you want them to be safe. And I know that you have a child, so I'm not.
I know. I
I'm
texted
like,
you this morning and was like, help, because he's with his dad. I'm like, I can't control it. What do you think is happening? And you like talked me down.
Yes. And so
I know. I get it.
I think that a lot of it also doesn't come from a place of they're not going to be safe, because I don't think that.
Yeah.
It comes from a place of knowing, like, when I was growing up, that like things might have been one way at one house and things were one way at another house, and those two households were not having a meeting of the minds about certain things. And so I think when you come from an environment as a child where things can be a little hectic, and then you have children, you're like, no, it has to be perfect for them all the time, all the time, all the time. So I've had to like let go of that a little bit as I've gone through this co-parenting journey. So it's gotten better. I mean, I always am going to worry about them and their safety and
100%.
that they're doing okay. But I think that has been one of the biggest things for me personally.
What tools do you find that you've like utilized to help yourself regulate through that, to help talk yourself down to get there?
I really just have to, just like you said, talk myself down. I have to sit there and go, they are okay. They are safe. They will be here in X days. Because it's also like a place, like I'll talk about this more later, of like, what if they got into an accident? What if they got hurt? And then they don't come back. So it was something like that. Or if they go back to their mom's house and I feel like I had to work too long and I didn't get enough time with them. The guilt. The guilt that I carry if I'm not with them is insane. So I really just have to talk myself down and go, this is okay. They will be back. We'll have this much time together, and they are safe. They are safe. They are safe. They are safe, and they are having fun. But I do have to stop myself because I will spiral. I'll start somersaulting, and I have to go, wait. I had a therapist once. She was so wonderful, but she wouldn't accept any insurance, and I couldn't go back, which was devastating because it was like $107 out of pocket.
Oh my God. Like every visit, and you're like,
every week I was like, I am deeply care about you, but I can't come.
But I can't do this week.
I can't do this. She really talked to me about reframing. So now I try to reframe the circumstances when I start to feel like anxious or panicky like that.
Yeah.
And just talk myself down.
My friend Sydney gave me a good one that I used this morning, actually. Her tool is, okay, ask yourself, halt your thought. What is your best guess? What's your best guess? So this morning, it's like, I'm spiraling about, I haven't heard back from my child's father. Is he okay? Da, 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 da. What is your best guess, Cecylia? Like, because I'm like, he's hurt. He's wondering right now. So
worst case scenario. Like, something's happened.
Something terrible. This is it. And I'm like halting myself while I'm talking to you because I'm like, okay, what's my best guess? My best guess is that my son was up. He's been restless this week. He was up for a couple hours and he's now sleeping in. And like, obviously they're not going to text me at 2 a.m. and be like, Ezra's awake. And but like what is your best guess? Okay, this is my best guess. That's likely what happened. Let's wait and see. Like not following that thought spiral, because I can definitely fall into that too.
Yeah. I think that also having a strong support system is very helpful for me. So having you as a friend and my other friends that, especially those friends that are moms, I think that I have lots of friends that aren't parents as well that can help me kind of calm myself down. But, when you have a friend who also is a parent, who also is in a situation where they're co-parenting, and you can talk to that person to say, oh my gosh, talk me off the ledge. That's very helpful. And I'm very grateful for Derek and I that we have such a strong communication style, because he was doing the co-parenting thing a lot longer, obviously, before I came around. So he is a very good to be like, no, like, this is normal. This feeling is normal. It will pass. It's fine. Let's talk yourself down. They're cool.
Yeah.
So I think that it's something, again, I have to continue to work on. But it's hard to not spiral.
Oh my God.
You have to know the acknowledgement. For me to acknowledge that I'm spiraling, I'm like, oh, this is so embarrassing.
I know, you're like,
I could
"No, I gotta-
never
Ooh,
acknowledge this. That doesn't sound like me.
me irrational thoughts."
No, that doesn't sound like something I could do.
Right.
No.
Yeah, and I think like, going back to the trying to control outcomes, because I absolutely do that too, trying to play chess and move all the pieces so that I think that I'm finishing the game correctly and how it should be. And it just kind of relates to the codependency, and that I can't rob people of their reaction or like the dignity of making decisions that they're going to make. Because also, I like, what does that say about how I think about myself trying to control these outcomes when I have a lifetime of making a bunch of mistakes that clearly demonstrate that I certainly do not know the best way that things should always go? Because usually when they go my way, in a way that I've manipulated and controlled and made sure that that what I think is the right outcome comes out, it's a mess. Like I'm a very flawed human. And so if I just sit back and like let go and let things happen how they're supposed to happen, or how let other people be in control of their reactions and their decisions, it usually goes much better. Yours is the next topic too, because Twilight is just infuriating in terms of themes.
So I have another topic. My next topic is another deep one. This episode is all about the things I'm scared of. The third topic is confronting fears. And one of the things that resonated with me from Harry Potter is my fear of death and dying. I think it's because we just, so many people say, I believe this, that whatever happens to my physical life form here, and then we go on to the next realm. Well, I don't think I know sometimes. I think sometimes it changes what I think happens. And I think about people that, especially with my job, I help people that have been hurt or have lost loved ones, and some of their loved ones they've lost suddenly. And I do not know how I would recover if someone in my that was close to me, and a friend, a family member, a coworker, if I lost them suddenly, I physically don't know what I would do. I don't feel like I would be strong enough to navigate that or to get through it. And I've witnessed people in my life that I care about deeply lose people suddenly. And I just recall watching that happen and going, wow, they're just so resilient, because there is no way that I could do that. And how do you do it? And how do you just keep moving forward? The fear and again, like the lack of control of knowing what could happen every day. Like I could get hurt on my way home, right? Like Derek could get hurt on his way home. It's a huge source of anxiety for me. But it's death is a big theme in the Harry Potter books. But looking back as an adult was like one of the first things I picked up on was man, I have to confront these things, or maybe just not confront them directly, but kind of learn how to accept these things, accept what I can't control, and accept that there are fears and outcomes I won't like and maybe I don't know about.
Yeah.
But it really, really struck me looking at the series as an adult.
Again. Yeah. When you presented this topic, I was like, oh my God, I'm terrible at this, because I was very much like a whatever happens, happens person before I had something to protect. So I remember when I got my first dog, I was like very suddenly a highly anxious person. And I was going home like 4 times a day to check that he was okay and that he was still there. And that he didn't open the window and run away and get hit by a car. Like these just things were, I had this very sudden onset of anxiety. And if something happens to me, I need to make sure that I have a card in my wallet that says I have a dog at this address and like just, I was like, it was as soon as I had something to protect, I had this fierce anxiety. And, I don't know why, when I was pregnant, I had heard about postpartum depression, and I was aware that, briefly, and that it was a concern. But I did not hear about postpartum anxiety, and I did not hear about postpartum OCD until I was well into months of postpartum. Like I think my child was a little bit over a year old before I heard the phrase postpartum obsessive compulsive disorder. So I wish I had been better prepared to confront those fears, because as someone that already just gave into the anxiety, gave into the compulsions, went home to check on the dog, went home to do, when I had a child, and suddenly all of these, being a single mom, I didn't have someone in the home to like run these thoughts by. Like, is this, so I started collapsing into my fears, and, seeking out therapy, seeking out friendships, and opening up was really the only thing that started to help with the intrusive thoughts, because that was something I wasn't prepared for, to confront those, how your own brain just starts attacking you I was the sole person in charge of protecting this child. And what if I'm not capable? What if I can't? What if I don't know what's best? Like, he makes a noise, he has a cough the first time he gets sick. Like, all of these things are just, it was difficult to confront the fears that I was making up in my head too. Like, just all the what if scenarios. So, I really think there are a lot of tools out there, and I wish that it was more. There are informational podcasts, there are resources, there are local groups that you can go to. There are mommy and me's. And, sometimes I do really well with it. And sometimes I feel very hopeless. Like, I will never feel normal and fully relaxed again. And that's like, it's just a scary thing after you have some little thing that just depends on you for everything. And my child was a NICU baby. I had a lot of loss of control at the beginning of his life, because I didn't advocate for myself during my own birth. And so my birth was incredibly traumatic and was incredibly dangerous for my child. So immediately I entered motherhood thinking that I didn't know how to make the best decisions for my child. And doctors and nurses knew more about my baby and what to do to protect my baby than I did. And that spiraled a lot of those. It's hard to confront your fears when you don't feel that you are the best person to do so. I was not the most educated person in the room on what was going on with his breathing. I was not the most educated person in the room on C-section recovery, or mental health. And honestly, they just, once your baby exits the NICU, they just hand you the baby and they're like, goodbye.
They go home.
Don't give him honey in the first year. And you're like, what? Honey, that's it. I'm like, honey. They're like, yeah, that's what they tell you. And like, I remember the nurse teaching me how to wash a bottle, and I was staring at the sink with tears in my eyes, with a huge scar on my stomach and swollen. And I'm like, okay, Cecylia, you can wash a bottle. Like, you can. It's so crazy. Like, I was standing over the sink with a bunch of bubbles in it, and I was like, okay, she had to teach me how to wash a bottle. And I was like, okay, you can sterilize this bottle so it's safe for your baby. Like, and confronting that fear and telling myself, you can do this. You won't hurt your baby. You won't sterilize it wrong. You can do this. Was just such an onset of, I cried the first time the NICU nurse asked me, do you want to change his diaper? And I said, I don't know how. I don't know how to, I don't want to hurt him. I already screwed up by not making the right decisions during my labor. That's how I felt. It's not a fact. I felt that I had failed him. And so I was like, I don't want to hurt him changing his diaper. Can you show me? And, this was a long-winded way of saying I'm not very good at confronting my fears.
Well, I will tell you that I hope that you know that all of those things that you felt and experienced were valid. And I do not think that you are alone in those things. And I have not given birth. I have not had a baby. So I don't want to, speak to something that I don't know. But I have talked to people that have given birth and that have had babies. And I think that those thoughts are ones that you probably share with many women that have given birth. And I feel very passionately about people not being heard and listened to in the medical field.
Attorney, oh my gosh.
And I feel very passionate, especially about giving birth. I have had so many women tell me on the phone, I didn't advocate for myself. I didn't do what I needed to do. And the guilt that you, like hearing you talk about it, the guilt that you have to carry that you shouldn't, is just very, I don't know how to say it. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but having a child and again, you know, I started parenting a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So I was a little bit, you know, past it the newborn, the baby age when it started, but there's so many fears going into it. And I still feel those fears every day. And I try to lessen that kind of voice that's like,
here's all these things that could go wrong. Da, 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 da.
I also, I don't know how to clean a bottle right now. I never even thought about having to clean a bottle. If I had a baby tomorrow, I wouldn't.
And then at the end, after you show these nurses how incapable you are, you're like, I don't know how to do any of this. They're like, well, figure it out at home.
Yeah,
you're like,
I mean, oh my gosh, that's a topic I could talk about for a different day.
Right?
I'm just like, okay, now you have to take care of this. Go home.
And I'm like, I can't walk up the stairs. You told me I couldn't walk up the stairs for 6 weeks. What do you mean?
No. Now, I'll tell you, I've heard of postpartum depression and I've heard of postpartum anxiety. I have not heard of postpartum OCD.
Yeah.
You know, I've never heard anybody talk about that before. So I'm glad that you brought it up. It's something that I, you know, can keep on my radar. And if anybody ever has questions, I might give them your name just to talk to, you know, and to have somebody who understands. I think talking to someone who understands is so important. Some of the best things you can do for yourself.
Yeah, that was huge for me. And like now, you know, I have a ton of resources. I have a ton of things that I could refer people to help with those things. And I just, maybe that's the confronting fears part. You know, I was like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I want to be an advocate for my baby. I want to be the person in the room that knows the most about what my child needs. And so I did that where, you know, I talked to pediatricians and groups and things like that. And I can be a resource now for other mothers experiencing the same thing because it is out there, and that I just wish it was communicated more widely that resource, that help is available.
So that wraps up the first part of our episode. So now we're entering spoiler territory. So if you have lived under a rock, if you haven't heard about Harry Potter, tune out. Get lost. Just kidding. You can stay. You can stay.
Get out of here.
So as a reminder, the books we've selected are ones that we read when we were younger, Twilight and Harry Potter. Cecylia never read Harry Potter. I've never read Twilight. So we are going to leave today having been educated on these series that we missed out on. So the first thing that we are going to do is play Kiss, Marry, Kill, because that's the best way to do it.
It's the most mature way to enter these worlds.
Absolutely. So
who are the hotties?
We've got Hermione Granger, Cho Chang, Ginny Weasley.
Okay. I think I would kiss Hermione, marry Cho, and then I would kill Ginny Weasley.
Yeah, you have to. That's the only answer.
She's got to go. Okay. I have for you the daddies round.
Okay.
Charlie, Carlisle, and Billy Black.
I don't know these men.
Okay,
based on names alone, you said Charlie, Carlisle, Billy Black.
Yeah.
Do I get to know what they look like or not?
After, I'll show you.
Okay.
They're all the daddies of the
I've gotta marry Billy Black. Love the name. Okay. I'm gonna kiss Carlisle.
Okay.
Kill Charlie. Are those my names? Is that what
Okay.
Show me Billy
Black.
So
this is
Hey,
right.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, good. This is who you killed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's who you... Do you marry him?
Who's that?
You kissed... That's Carlisle.
Oh, I don't like that.
He's a vampire.
Oh.
So he wants to kill you, which is unfortunate. Right. But he's good. He's a good vampire.
Okay. All right. So for you, next, I have some leading men. We've got Harry Potter.
Okay.
Ron Weasley. Draco Malfoy.
I would kiss Ron Weasley because I had a crush on him in the movies.
Okay.
I would marry Draco because I could fix him.
Same.
I would kill Harry. I have too much anxiety, confronting fears and all that stuff we were just talking about. Do you know how much, like, I feel like Harry just death follows him. I couldn't be with someone that was the drama that comes with being with Harry Potter.
Okay, fair.
I couldn't handle it.
Fair.
All right, I'm going to give you some leading men too.
Okay.
The Cullen boys. Edward, Jasper, and Emmett.
I only know Edward.
Okay.
So I will marry Edward. You gave me a name, Jasper.
Mhm.
What was the other one?
Emmett.
Emmett has to go. Goodbye. He's dead. And that means I will kiss Jasper.
Okay, this is Emmett.
Okay. Yeah.
The vampires are like low-key ugly. Like they're supposed to be so hot. And then the movie came out and I remember being so disappointed because I was like, why are they like blue and just
sickly?
Yes. Like, okay, and then Jasper, that is like they're all supposed to be so hot.
These are men that are somewhat annoying, in my opinion.
Okay.
You have Gilderoy Lockhart, Kingsley Shacklebolt, and Barty Crouch Jr. I will not tell you who they are until after you.
What were even those names?
Okay, Gilderoy Lockhart, Kingsley Shacklebolt, or Barty Crouch Jr.
Barty Crouch Jr. Okay, I'm gonna kill Barty Crouch Jr. because I don't know why.
Great choice.
Yeah.
Just trust
Gilderoy Lockhart.
Gilderoy
Okay, Gilderoy. Well, let's see. Cecylia Lockhart. What was the other last name?
Shacklebolt.
Cecilia Shacklebolt. Hate that. I'm gonna marry Lockhart and kiss Shacklebolt.
So Gilderoy Lockhart was the defense against the dark arts teacher who lied about everything that he did. He was like stealing memories from other people.
Is that my husband? Did I kiss him?
Let me tell you what. He dresses up. I think you kissed him.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, I mean,
I do remember him from the movie.
Yeah, Kingsley Shacklebolt goes on to become the Minister of Magic later on in the series.
Oh, and I didn't marry him?
No, you killed him because you didn't like his last name.
Well, I didn't like his last name with my name.
Right. Oh, okay. Fair. And then Barty Crouch Jr. is who you killed.
All right, we're going to do the werewolf round.
Okay.
Jacob, Sam, Quill.
Quill, I'm killing because it rhymes. Jacob, I'm marrying, and the other one whose name I don't remember is who I'll kiss.
Well, you know who Jacob looks like? It's Taylor Lautner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where the hell have you been, Loca? Right?
Yes. This is who you killed, which like,
yeah. See you later.
And then, let's see. I think I remember Sam being like, cool. Oh, I think you kissed him.
Oh, okay. Dudley Dursley, Argus Filch, or Peter Pettigrew.
Oh my God, I'm killing Peter Pettigrew.
Okay.
Because I do remember he's the one that turns into a rat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Scallers.
Oh my God, his name is Scallers. Like only gets worse. I'm gonna marry. I think I'm gonna marry Dudley because it's predictable. I know what to expect with that family. They're awful. And then I'll kiss the other one.
Filch.
Filch.
Okay, I will say that.
Fuck her up, Filch.
I will say Dudley Dursley probably has money, and he's old, and he might.
Honestly, that was part of my thought process. Like he's probably kind of rich.
Hook her up.
Oh my God. Is he nice?
No, he's mean.
He's not even
groundskeeper. Or no, Hagrid is the groundskeeper.
I would kiss Hagrid.
He's nice.
I would kiss a nice guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't kiss Filch. He would, but he does have shackles in his office.
You know the way to my Bella, Alice, Rosalie.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Bella, dead.
Yeah.
Alice, I'm hoping, is the one that does that insane baseball pitch where she. I'm gonna marry Alice and I'll kiss the third that I can.
Honestly, that was the most perfect. This is who you're marrying. Like
yes!
that
sweet
nailed it. Because Rosalie is not very nice, but she's hot.
Okay,
so
yeah, she's okay, fair.
I'll kiss her, but marrying her would be tough. Moving to some of the topics in the book, as far as codependency goes for Twilight, there is an entire book where she's just like immobile because her boyfriend dumps her. So it's a very, that's why it gets so heavily criticized.
Yeah.
It's such a, like, there's a quote in the book, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him. And I was like, maybe there should have been a couple of conditions because he's like this guy that wants to kill her, and then he decides he can restrain himself and not kill her, and she's like falls in love with him, and she's such a like, I love a feminine rage character. I love someone who is like just fierce and angry and bold and all these things. And she's just like a dud, like from, you know, what I remember and looking back, I'm like, God, Bella was like such a dud. Like she's not like a Hermione or like a, oh God, even like Ginny Weasley would have been better, but like she's just so, it's kind of a toad, like about everything. Like she's just very, she just doesn't have a lot of character development from what I remember, but
that's all I've got to know. I will tell you that codependency isn't really like a theme I picked up on in Harry Potter, but I will say that I am a Hufflepuff. I know that may sound weird because I'm an old woman. I'm an adult. I'm an adult, but Hufflepuffs are known to be loyal and humble and very nice. But in the book, it's like hinted that they're codependent because they don't really hang out with like other, like you obviously are best friends with who's ever in your Hogwarts house, but and you like make friends with others as well, but they don't really do that. They just kind of like stick to themselves.
I love that for them.
Yeah, and they are one of the 2 common rooms that are in the dungeons, so they're kind of like secluded, them and Slytherins, away from everybody. And they just mostly kind of stick to themselves. You don't really, or to themselves, you don't really hear about them interacting with other students as much. But that was kind of the only thing with codependency that I picked up on in Harry Potter.
Yeah, even that's just like a more healthy way. Like they just like their friends.
They just like their friends.
Bella was just like completely emotionally dependent on her boyfriend. And when I was 14, I was like, this is romance.
I identify with romance. That's so funny. Now, do you feel like, moving into the second topic, there was any part of Twilight that felt like anybody was trying to control any of the outcomes?
I think all of them were. Edward is so controlling, like the vampire. And, you know, I was just pissed off at Bella that she picked Edward. I'm like, Jacob was right there.
Team Jacob. There it is. You heard it here first.
Yeah. And so like, I just couldn't believe she was giving Edward the time of day because he is very controlling and he isolates her from her family and da-da-da. But I mean, Bella, from what I remember, just like sits on her ass. So maybe she's actually just like a let it go queen.
Oh, okay. Like, trying to control outcomes is actually like a very big theme in Harry Potter. I wrote you a dissertation.
I saw this and I highlighted and I felt, I highlighted in the doc.
I'm gonna so simplify this, but basically the biggest kind of thing that I took from this is revisiting this as an adult. There's a different way that I looked at this. So in Harry Potter, there are the Horcruxes, and basically a Horcrux is essentially like you're here, and then you can like split your soul into this physical object and leave that behind, but your physical being isn't as here anymore. So Voldemort has Horcruxes in the books, and he is splitting his soul over and over again and taking his physical being into these physical objects. It takes a very, very bad act, I believe, to physically make a Horcrux. So in the books, it's later on in the series that you find out that Voldemort's done this, that, he's basically, there are 7 in total. There's 6 physical objects. And then, and then you figure out that Harry is the 7th. Yeah. So
Wait, do you purposely make a Horcrux or is it accidental?
Great question. So the 6 were purposeful.
Okay.
And the 7th with Harry Potter, from what I recall, that was an accident. And that happened because when Voldemort goes to kill Harry when he's a baby, it basically like Lily Potter's love for Harry shields him from the killing curse. It like reverberates back into Voldemort, and Harry unintentionally becomes a Horcrux. So he's like always tied to Voldemort. He's got part of his soul inside of him. So that's why I believe it's the second book, you find out Harry is a Parseltongue and he can talk to snakes.
Oh yeah.
That's because that's something that Voldemort could do.
When they're like,
right. Looking back, there's theories that basically say that like Dumbledore figures this out earlier than most. So he realizes that Voldemort has now split his soul into these objects. He realizes Harry is a Horcrux, and he is trying to control the outcomes. You can read it kind of in 2 ways, right? One is, how does he protect the entire wizarding world from Voldemort? Or how does he protect Harry? So you kind of see like he maybe starts to figure out that Harry has to die.
Yeah.
Because all of these Horcruxes have to be destroyed and Harry is one himself. Snape at one point in the book tells Dumbledore that he's been raising Harry for slaughter, preparing him for slaughter. So it's interesting because you can go and read it two separate ways. Like, do you think Dumbledore is trying to protect Harry, or do you think Dumbledore's trying to protect everybody else and Harry's just a moving piece in that? You know, and the lack of control kind of and comes into Dumbledore doesn't know if there's a way to save Harry. This might be it. And you know, when it finally comes to this, I guess it's I always forget how they split the movies, but basically it's in the second part of Deathly Hallows, which is the last book. Harry says, there's no more Horcruxes. It's just you and me now, Riddle. Neither can live while the other survives, and one of us is about to leave for good. And Voldemort says, one of us, you think it will be you, do you? The boy who has survived by accident and because Dumbledore was pulling the strings. So I am going to revisit this series again, and I want to read it from the perspective of Dumbledore being super manipulative.
Oh my God.
And trying to control these outcomes.
People pleaser?
Is he me?
Is he?
Am I Dumbledore? So I think that is another theme. I think Dumbledore dies at one point, and he also, you know, they had plans for how and when that could or should have happened, and Draco was supposed to kill Dumbledore, but he wouldn't do it, so Snape did it. So that's one area. For me, I also identified with Hermione a lot. She's my favorite character from the series. I relate to her in the fact that she kind of is like a know-it-all. She's a control freak. She's really type A. And I think that I liked the character arc of her kind of not losing those tendencies, but stepping back from them a little bit, like towards the middle and towards the end. So, you know, you kind of see like she starts to break the rules a little bit with Harry and Ron. And then in the 5th book, she leads a whole rebellion. She like sneaks into the Ministry of Magic. So she kind of changes that about her, which I thought was really unique, in that she's not trying to control these scenarios all the time, because she wants to like get to the bottom of things.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think I'm going to also just say with Hermione, because I did watch the movies, and I agree that she's all of those things, and I don't think that they're negative. Like your notes say, type A know-it-all control freak. And I was like, wow, I can see where you would identify with Hermione in like such a loyal, fierce friend way, because that is also her, like,
that's so true.
Those were her feminine rage moments, were like, because she was like defending her friends, and she was such a fierce, like, lover of what is right.
Well, I appreciate that sentiment because I love Hermione.
Yeah.
And you're right. What I did write about her was not nice.
I think, yeah.
But
well,
I admire,
can see how those are admirable qualities too.
I identify with her, and I agree with that. And I think she is a good friend.
Yeah.
And how she shows up for everybody.
Yeah. But God, am I just not remembering it right? I Googled confronting fears Twilight. The first thing that pops up is a Stephen King quote that says Harry Potter is about, like, I didn't even Google Harry Potter. It was like Harry Potter is about confronting fears, being loyal, and something else. Twilight is about how important it is to have a boyfriend. And I was like, yeah. Okay, I'm not. Like,
okay, but if you had asked me
at 14, what did I care about? Yeah. Having a boyfriend.
I'd be like, I'm scared of nothing. Which is so funny because now I'm scared.
Right.
Going into the third topic, confronting fears, the entire Harry Potter series it can be focused on death and being afraid of it. Voldemort, I think, is obviously afraid of death. That's why he is trying to like be reborn, trying to come back, trying to be all powerful at all times. And really, Harry kind of gets annoying. I said it. The only person that's not really afraid of it is Harry. I think because he didn't grow up in this realm of like fearing Voldemort. He grew up with the Dursleys, who were like awful and abusive and mean to him. So he's kind of like, oh,
can only go up from here.
It is what it is, you know? So I really thought it was interesting looking back, because I thought, oh my gosh, like Voldemort is so obsessed and concerned about death and dying, and wow, he's constantly trying to like control that outcome, and same.
Ooh, you entered as Hermione and left as
so I entered as Hermione and left as Voldemort. So now I think that I really need to let go so I don't be like Voldemort.
You're way prettier than Voldemort.
Yeah, he doesn't have a nose, and I have a giant schnoz. So put you there, Voldy.
With confronting fears, Bella is just a nightmare with it. Like I said, Edward dumps her and she just sulks for an entire book. And I was like,
Relatable.
yeah. And I was like, when I was younger, I was like, oh my God, of course, if your boyfriend dumps you, your world ends.
Yeah.
Like now I'm like, oh my God. Like, do you think you were drawn to this series? And how has that foreshadowed your reading journey today, if at all?
So I love to read. I started reading when I was a little kid. Fun fact about me, I skipped a grade. It was because I was reading so much all the time.
Because you were so darn
Yeah,
smart.
yes. It was an early grade. It was like first grade. So it's not anything crazy.
Don't
but
diminish that accomplishment.
True. You're right. Okay. I skipped a grade because I'm a smarty pants and not a lot of people can say that. So anyways.
Hermione core.
Yep. I actually really enjoyed, do you remember the Magic Treehouse?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Magic Treehouse series was one of like my favorite series that I started reading. And I loved that they'd go into the treehouse and they'd pick out a book and they'd go into the book. And I just thought that was really cool. And then I think it was right before I skipped a grade, right as I was like getting ready to do the skip, we started reading Harry Potter in school. And I really liked it. And I thought it was interesting. And I remember my parents knowing that I hadn't read a chapter book that big yet. We're kind of working with here, and Harry Potter was pretty big. So they went out and they bought them for me and I read them and I just loved them and I gobbled them up. And it kind of was, again, what really pushed my reading into a higher level because they were so big. There were so many books and I was just reading them so fast. But
yeah.
I think it started with loving to read and loving the Magic Treehouse series, which is so cool because Kellen's reading them right now.
Oh,
yeah. And she loves them. Yeah. She loves them. So that I thought is really cool.
Yeah.
So I have the next question, and I recently learned this about Cecylia. My question for you is, what does butterbeer taste like? Because I know you went to Harry Potter World. You didn't know me, and you didn't invite me, and I'm not holding it against you. The one place in the world I want to go is Harry Potter World.
So
I'd like to have a butterbeer.
Oh, what does butterbeer taste?
Yeah, what does it taste like? And does it taste
I
good?
don't remember. It was good. I don't
You
know.
went to Harry Potter World and you don't remember? You're not even appreciative.
No, I'm so ungrateful. I don't remember. I remember I got it and drank it and I was like, cool. I know. And I saw like Gringotts.
What? Did you see the dragon? Did it blow fire on top of Gringotts?
Yeah.
Did you get a wand?
Yeah. Actually.
Oh.
I dated a guy. And he knew I had never read Harry Potter. He was going to Disney World and spending one day in Universal.
Yeah.
And I was such a Disney girl. I loved Ariel. Ariel's my favorite princess. I love the princesses. And he's like, cool. He goes to Universal. He spent 7 days in Disney and
brought you like a wand or something.
He went to Universal for one day and brought me Ron Weasley's wand. And I was like, isn't this thing like broken all the time? And he's
slugs.
Like,
oh, what a terrible gift.
I know. And I remember being like, what the hell? Because I've never
so excited.
Not only that, he's like, I got you a present, and it was this long box, mermaid material, like a long thin box. I unwrap it and I open it, and I was like, oh, Ron, from the book I've never read.
Ron, okay,
and I remember I couldn't get into Harry Potter. Like I even tried to read it, and I was just like, when are they gonna make out? Like I've always been a romance reader. And I'm still like a romance reader. And I was like, there's too much happening here. I just need two people to kiss.
Yeah.
That's it. And so, God, yeah, that was my gift. I don't even know where it is. Otherwise, I would gift you Ron Weasley's wand.
We have 2 wands at our house. And all Emery knows, because Emery and Kellen will duel, and all Emery knows is Expelliarmus. Expelliarmus! That's all she does. Kellen will be like, Crucio.
What does that do?
It disarms you.
Oh.
But that's all Emery knows. And then I have videos of them trying to duel, and she they're supposed to face each other, and then they turn around and they walk away, and then they pivot.
Okay, I do remember that.
Kellen will turn and walk this way, and Emery's like, ooh.
Here I come.
Gotta go the other way.
I'm dueling ya. Surprise attack.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think your vampire power would be? Based on memory, it's typically, like from what I remember, it's typically an amplification of some trait that's present when you're human.
I think my vampire power would be able to shapeshift into a werewolf because I'm Italian and I'm hairy. Or Alternatively,
You're just Italian, so you would just be Harry. They're like, everyone shows up to battle.
Here and look at mine, and you tell me.
Everyone shows up to battle, and Alexander just like turns into a hairball. Everyone's like wielding things
Not
and
me.
doing lightning, and you're just like poof.
Either that or my vampire powers. So I have very bad vision. I have contacts in right now. Normally I have to have contacts or my glasses because I just can't see. I think that it would twist. I think it would change. And then my bad vision as a vampire would immediately become phenomenal vision. And that I could see really far away.
Okay.
You would be like, what's happening in the battlefield? And I'd be like, shh.
You'd be like 1 second.
Yeah. And then I would like see 400 miles away.
And they're like, Alexandra, I can't hear you through all that hair.
Yeah, exactly. That's what would happen. Yeah.
I love it. That's a good one.
Okay, my next question for you. So in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, book number 1, Philosopher's Stone if we're being particular, but we learn about the Mirror of Erised, which is desire, spelled backwards.
Clever.
People who gaze into the mirror see their deepest desire reflected back. If you were to look into the mirror, what do you think you would see?
Maybe just like a reflection of calm, content, internal peace. Whatever that looks like, that would be just an unmoving wave of peace.
I love that.
I think
that's phenomenal. Also, that's a great question, and I didn't come up with it. It's from Sed Young, who posted that on Hobby Lark.
Okay.
He deserves all the credit for that.
We love that.
Because it's a great question.
It is a great question. That is a good question. Yeah. Okay. This question is from me. Find out your boyfriend that can't sleep breaks into your house every night and watches you sleep. Romantic or restraining order?
Romantic.
Hot.
So the boggarts are creepy creatures. They form into your biggest fear of the person before them. This is how the Defense Against the Dark Arts students learn expecto patronum. That's when they have Professor Lupin as the professor of that class.
Mm-hmm.
So
the guy I made out with? The guy I kissed?
Yeah.
I kissed him? Or I married him? I married him.
No, we didn't ask anything about Lupin. Oh, okay.
Scratch it out.
What form would your boggart be?
100% something happening to my child. It would be in graphic detail something happening to my child.
That's a scary one. Okay. Yep. So you have to use a happy memory to conjure your Patronus spell. What would be the form of your Patronus? Harry's is a stag.
Isn't a stag like a deer?
Yeah, with antlers. A buck.
That was his happiest moment?
No. That's just his happiest moment made the Patronus come out in the form of a stag.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is why I didn't read it. I couldn't.
No, I get it.
Oh my gosh. Probably the first time that I heard my child's giggle was like,
oh, that's a really good one.
It was like his little giggle. He had been making noises and I think he was like 2 months old. I don't even know because I was in such a postpartum fog. He might have been like 6 months, who knows. But the first time that I was like, oh my God, he's laughing. He's giggling.
Oh, that's
it was a good just one. Yeah. And I was like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can be a mom. Maybe I'm a good mommy. I'm making my baby giggle.
Your little Patronus would just be Ezra.
Just giggling his way to attack my boggart.
Gosh, that's funny. Well, the Patronus doesn't have to be something from the memory.
Oh, okay.
It's a shape. So that's the memory. What do you think your little shape would be that would come out of the wand?
Probably like a teddy bear. Big teddy bear.
Yeah.
Ezra's like so cuddly and
awesome.
Warm. Mm-hmm. So I think it would just be
I like that.
Teddy bear.
I think mine would be a hedgehog.
I love that. That would be fun. What fueled that? What would your happiest memory?
Well, the hedgehog comes from the fact that my maiden name is Rizzo and our family crest is a hedgehog. So like Derek's is a knight. It's literally a knight. His family crest is a knight. Mine is
badass.
Yeah, mine's a hedgehog. So that's cool. But I like the hedgehog.
Me too.
Yeah. My happiest memory. Oh my gosh.
It's a tough question.
That is a really tough question. I think there's so many to pull from. I think one of my happiest memories is Kellen telling me she loved me for the first time.
Oh.
And it'll make me cry. But I was really anxious about parenting girls, and I really wanted to like have their approval, and I wanted them to be happy, and I wanted them to want me around as much as I wanted to be around them. And I remember Kellen, I just was like, oh my gosh, this kid and I are so much alike in our emotions and our personality. And we were at a Panera Bread, and she was like, will you carry me to the car? I said, okay. And so I carried her out to the car, and she was like, oh, I love you, Izzy. I'll see you later. And I just remember getting in my car and was like
melting.
So that's one of my happiest moments. It sticks out to me so much. And that is what would conjure my hedgehog.
I love that.
Yep.
My hedgehog. Okay. Based on, this is my final question. Based on this image alone, what is Bella's vampire power?
Oh gosh, I don't know. She looks like she's gonna like something with her eyes, laser beam vision. It looks,
it's happening right now. Everything that is it's happening. She's in full, nothing's about to happen. Is she stopped in time? No, that's a good guess.
Oh, okay. Is she, I don't know.
So Bella can project a mental shield that like protects her loved ones. It shields their thoughts from people being able to read them.
Okay.
And it also physically protects them from like oncoming attacks. So in the final battle, she finds that she can just like push it out and protect everyone she loves. So they're like invincible during the fight. I know. I'm like, Bella sucks. And then at the end, she has the power that I've only ever wanted my whole life.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I have one thing I'd like to ask of us to do. Since you've seen the movies, and I've only seen clips of the movies, can you just give me your favorite, what's like one of your favorite scenes from Harry Potter that makes you laugh or that you think is funny that you could like.
From Harry Potter?
Because I could tell you from Twilight something that I only know a little bit about, but that sticks out for me. That if someone's like, name something from Twilight that I could present to you.
Bring it out. Okay, what is it?
It's, you're impossibly fast. You're so pale. Your skin is like so ice cold. You know what you are. You've been 17 for so long.
Are you here?
That's all I know. It's just when she's like,
yeah, she's the visuals.
Say it. Vampire,
no.
And then he says like, hold on like a spider monkey. Right?
Hold on tight, spider monkey. I know, that's my series.
That's all I can think about with Twilight.
God, I could think of a lot with Harry Potter. It was so well done. One moment from Harry Potter when Hermione flips out on Draco Malfoy. Like she punches him in the face.
Yeah, she's like something, you filthy little cockroach.
I was like energized.
Yeah.
That was it. I think that's just sticking out to me.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to see if we can do this. Describe your entire series in 60 seconds. If aliens just landed on Earth, you have to tell them in 1 minute flat the entire plot of Harry Potter. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, Harry Potter series is about a man who is a control freak that has a lot of issues, having beef with a child literally since it's an infant, and he's got a weird body and he's got a lot of body image issues. So he is working through how to not hate his body so much, and Harry Potter has to grow up to fight this guy and confront all of his issues, but also he's part of the bad guy, but he doesn't realize it now. He realizes it later, which is kind of like about personal growth. And it's about loyalty and friendship along the way. And it's based on a book for children, but also there's a lot of death and dying, so maybe not young children. Also, it focuses on magical animals and magical wands and magic in general, and they are not in England. They're in Scotland, and also there's dragons.
Oh, I didn't know there was dragons.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Thanks.
I feel like I was there. I feel like I read it.
Great.
That was good. All right, Twilight. Twilight is about this girl who moves to this rainy town in Washington and meets a guy that she's super attracted to, but he wants to kill her. And then he decides he won't kill her because he loves her so much. And she is so relieved by that. And then she meets this hot werewolf who is hot. And it's a love triangle battle. And then and then her vampire boyfriend dumps her, and she's sad for like an entire book. And then he comes back, they get back together. She's happy again. She isolates all her friends and family. They get pregnant, have a baby, and then the werewolf falls in love with the infant. Huh? And that's Twilight.
Wait. So does she ever like have a thing with Jacob? Are they?
Yeah. They like kiss, and then later he falls in love with her baby, and that was why the attraction to her was so strong, because he was always in love with her baby. But it's like, it's not well done. I'm not even gonna be like, they do it so well that you understand that. No, he like literally fully falls in love with her baby and is like, it's just a need to protect until she grows up, and then I will be in love with her. And there's so many problematic things in the series that I absorb.
Can you tell me who the Loch Ness Monster is?
I don't know. Like in general? No. Like, do I know it?
Isn't there a thing in the movies? You
like
my daughter after the Loch Ness?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So you know more about my series than I do. Her name is Renesmee, the baby. They named the baby Renesmee because it's like the mix of her mom's name, and her mom's name is Renee, and his mom's name is Esme or something. So her name is Renesmee. And so Jacob nicknames Renesmee Nessie because he's in love with her. Nessie is
after the Loch Ness Monster, or no?
That's what she just assumes.
Now, is the baby a vampire?
I think so, yeah.
And he's a werewolf?
Mm-hmm. And she like grows very super fast. Like, cause she's like suddenly like 12. Like she was an infant and then she's 12. Which I can't even imagine the postpartum care that would need. To just the entire time.
I did not know that. I think that is very cool.
Hello, Cecylia.
What's the name of the author?
Stephanie Myers.
Has she written anything else besides
I don't think so. I think she kind of like fell off.
Oh.
And then she wrote a thing from Edward's perspective.
Oh, okay.
But I had like aged out of the Twilight situation.
Well, Twilight was so, I mean, she got movies and books and things like that and merchandise. So she probably, why write anything else?
I would never do anything else. All right. Thank you for tuning in this week. We are so grateful for all of your support. Follow along for social media updates. Our handles are tagged in the show notes and also on our website.
We release bi-weekly episodes covering a variety of topics and books. You can listen every other Wednesday on Spotify, YouTube, and our website, which is www.herbestinterest.com.
Expecto Patronum.
Bye. Nox. That's the turning off your wand spell.
Nox.